weekly video that I do about the 49ers. And I have some news. There's some things in the news. By the way, I kind of added more here to my layout, my background layout. As you know, I have a Bill Walsh bobblehead. Just recently, I got a Mooch, Steve Mariucci bobblehead. He's got his little clipboard there. And even though Steve Mariucci really wasn't, he wasn't up there with Bill Walsh, George Seifert, and even Jim Harbaugh, he did give us four winning seasons: 1997, 1998, 2001, and 2002. So he's part of 49er history, so I put him up there. As you can see, I got this 49er Empire banner. It's fabric. It's not a poster or anything like that. And I thought it would be, they always talk about Niner Empire, right? So I thought this looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. So I liked it, and I got that. Also, I put my Super Bowl rings over here. I used to have them right in front of each trophy, but I put them over there so they can be seen more. But yeah, how do we think? It's really coming together. But anyways, let's get into some of the news. This was here's some news that I heard about this past week, and I was on Rombo Sports' Twitter page, and he had an article in there, or a story in there that Cliff Kingsberry said he would take Kyler Murray with a number one pick. That's interesting. Because I read that story, and he thinks very highly of Kyler Murray, and and he said he would draft him. I think he said that some time back, but he said that if he had to make a pick, he'd pick him. Now that's interesting, because does that leave Nick Bosa open to us? That's a possibility, but preferably me, I would rather go with Josh Allen, because Josh Allen, he's more a versatile type player. He not only is he's a good pass rusher, he's good on some coverages and stuff like that, and I would definitely want him probably over Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa, I'm kind of on the fence with him. He's had injuries. He hasn't played much recently. And so there's rumors that he could be injury prone. I just feel that that maybe Josh Allen would be better. But if we get Nick Bosa, I won't be disappointed, because he is a good athlete. He has shown some pretty good things. He can be a beast. So I would, but that will be interesting, on the draft, to see if that new Cardinals coach, in fact, takes Kyler Murray. Because usually when a coach gets hired on a football team, he wants to have his own quarterback to run his offense. Every coach is like that. There's a certain quarterback they want to run their offense, and I think that's quite possible that he could, in fact, be the guy. But we'll see. The Kyler Murray guy could be the guy for them, and we could get Nick Bosa. So we'll see how that goes. Also, Robbie Gould still not signed yet. Here's what I think about Robbie Gould. I think there's two possibilities here. I think that one of the possibilities is that they may be wanting to wait after the season is officially over, until it's completely over, like, after the Super Bowl. If you remember last year, they said they weren't going to negotiate a contract with Jimmy Garoppolo, until the season was completely finished, until after the Super Bowl. Well, maybe they're doing that with Robbie Gould. Maybe they want to wait until after the season's officially over to work out a contract extension with him. But now the other The other theory that I have, which isn't good, is that maybe he's not in their future plans. He should be, but let's say he's not. And maybe they're being quiet because they're going to let him walk. When March comes, they're just going to let him walk, and they're being very quiet about it. But I hope that's not the case. I mean, the guy has done so much for us, and won so many games for us. With this kicking. I mean, I can remember, the 2017 season. I remember we were playing. The 49ers were playing Chicago, and he had 5 field goals in that game that won the game. Um, you know, uh, he kicked 5 field goals, and the Niners won that game 15-14. They didn't score a touchdown all day long, but they won the game 15-14 off of his leg, and I think the Bears had 2 touchdowns in that game. So that's pretty amazing. That just goes to show you how valuable he is. I mean, what if we don't resign him, and let's say that we go into the next season, we lose some close games, because of missed field goals, missed extra points. We're all going to look back and say, you know what, we should have signed Robbie Gould. And so, after what happened with the Bears playoff game, all the Bears fans want him now. Although that kick in that game was tipped, actually. But yeah, he's got to get signed. I think that's got to be one of our number one priorities in the offseason. So yeah, he's got to be re-signed. Let's see here. Talking about the Antonio Brown thing, it says the Steelers want a first round pick for Antonio Brown, or they're open to a second round pick. Now I think, like I said in my last video, I would not want to. What I would not want to do is give up that second, the first round pick. The first round pick, the second, number 2. I would not want to give that up for Antonio Brown. But I think that maybe next year, maybe if you gave away a second round pick or for next year or whatever, I don't know. I just wouldn't give away our number 1 pick, or number 2 pick in the first round. I wouldn't give that up. But I would. So I think next year what I would do, maybe you can trade him for a second round pick or something like that. But I don't know. I'd like to get Antonio Brown though. You see what happens when you get a number 1 receiver, and how much that it increases the chances of your team. I mean, you look at the Dallas Cowboys. They acquired Cooper, and look what he's doing for their offense. He's just doing all kinds of good things for them, and Dallas for them signing him. That was one of the reasons why Dallas got as far as they did, because when you get that number 1 big star receiver in there, boy, it changes everything. So that was good. That was good for them, but we gotta do the same for us. We got to get a number 1 receiver. It's really important. But I wouldn't. I just don't want to give up. Our number 2 pick in the first round. I wouldn't do that. Maybe a number 2 pick if they're open to that and other things. We'll see about that. But let's see here. More news. Oh, did you hear? Okay, here's something I heard. You know how they fired the strength and conditioning coach just not too long ago? Well, they just fired another person on the staff who I believe is connected with the conditioning and strengthening coach. And here's what it says. It says the 49ers let go of longtime head athletic trainer Jeff Ferguson, according to Cam Inman of the Bay Area News Group. Ferguson has been with the 49ers for 13 seasons while serving the past 2 as the team's vice president of medical services, head athletic trainer. He oversaw the team's medical and nutritional needs, rehabilitation, I can't pronounce it very well. Procedures, injury records, nutritional program, training room, and daily athletic training duties. He goes way, and this is a guy that goes way back. He's been with the team for 13 seasons. That goes all the way back to Mike Singletary. That's how far back he goes. But they fired him, and as I just read there, he had a lot to do with, he kind of the strengthening and all that, and conditioning and the nutritioning thing and all that. They may feel that he was a part of that equation with the injuries and stuff. So I think that's probably why they let him go. Hold on a minute here. I think that's a good possibility. But yeah, it sounds like to me they're cleaning house, which is good. I think that they need to do this. You see, the last guy, they said they let him go. They said the last guy, the strength and conditioning coach, they said that they let him go to another place to coach or whatever. I forget what it was. Was it Ohio State? I can't remember. But they let him go for coaching. But what I think is, they secretly probably fired him and kind of gave him a decent way out without looking like he was terminated. But I think they got rid of him, and I think they got rid of this guy, and I think that's what they got to do. They got to kind of clean house somewhat. But it's going to be an interesting offseason. We'll see what they do. I think that one of the things for sure, I'm going to probably do a video when the draft comes. I'm going to put up a video while the draft is going on. When we get that number 2 pick in the first round. So that's going to be fun. But anyways, that's all I want to talk to you about. Is share. Just wanted to share some of that news with you. Did you see the games yesterday? Now, there were interesting games. The Dallas and Rams game. Now, how many of you 49er fans out there, who were you rooting for in that game? Were you rooting for the Rams, or were you rooting for the Cowboys, or the Rams, or the Cowboys? To tell you the truth, I was kind of pulling for the Rams, and the reason why is because I was so afraid that Dallas would get more Super Bowl trophies than us, and it wouldn't be entirely impossible. You think about it. Most likely the Saints are going to beat. The Eagles, but if by chance the Eagles beat the Saints and the Cowboys had won yesterday, guess what? Dallas would be hosting the NFC Championship game, and they'd have an easy doorway into the Super Bowl, and they win the 6th one. They'll always say, "Hey, we got more than you." In fact, they even bragged this. Even though they have as many as us, they do brag that they've been there quite a few times. I believe Dallas has been to the Super Bowl 8 total times, going all the way back to the early 1970s. I think 70 or 71, going all the way back. They over the course of that time, they've made 8 Super Bowl appearances. So I was pulling for the Rams, but I won't be pulling for the Rams this coming weekend. So far we got the Cowboys out of it, the Seahawks out of it. Now all we need is the Rams and the Patriots out of it. I don't want the Patriots to keep. I don't want the Patriots to go there to win. To try to, Brady trying to run up the score on Joe Montana's Super Bowl rings. I don't want that. Plus, the Patriots are there every single year. Almost, it seems. Not every single year, but they're there quite often, and it's kind of like, give somebody else a chance. And I gotta say one thing about the Rams game. The Rams defense actually looked better than I've seen it during the second half. During the season, I think their defense looked better yesterday. So they probably got sick and tired of hearing about all the bad news about, people talking about how their defense looks suspect and all that. Um, the other game, the Kansas City game, and the Colts, I couldn't believe that game. Last week when the Colts beat the Texans, I said, look out for that Colts team. They look very dangerous. I mean, they could wreak havoc anywhere, whether it be the Patriots, Kansas City Chiefs. But they look like a completely different animal yesterday. They just look like the team that was struggling, I think, early on in their season. They look like that team, and they didn't look anything like a dangerous team. Kansas City, their defense went out and played well. That's the best because like the Rams, Kansas City's had kind of a suspect defense too, and it was kind of neat to watch them play really well in that game. Watch their defense. Their defense played better, and it's going to have to play better too next week against the Patriots, Tom Brady. So yeah, so far that's what's been going on in the news and the games yesterday, and there's games today. We'll find out what's going to happen after this weekend, and then we'll see who the matchups are next weekend. But anyways, that's all I want to say. Everybody, take care and go 49ers. All right. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.